In this class, we're going to learn how to find the inverse of a function. Okay, let's consider the question on the board. Okay, let's consider the question that we have on the board. We are asked to find the inverse of these functions. Okay, let's start with the first question. Now, if you are given this function in exam and you are asked to find the inverse, the first step is that, okay, we have a, that is question A, we have f of x is equals to 3x minus 2. Now, let y be equals to 3x minus 2. Please pay attention, that's the first step. Let y be equals to 3x minus 2. Now, having done this, the next step is that you have to make x the subject of the relation, okay? So, for this, I'm going to have y plus 2 is equals to 3x, okay? If I want to make x the subject of the relation, I'm going to divide both sides by 3, which is the coefficient of x. So, I'm going to have this divided by 3 and this divided by 3. So, the value of x will be x is equivalent to y plus 2 all over 3. Now, when you get to this point, having made x the subject of the relation, you have to replace x as y and y as fx. You understand? This is what I mean. You know that here I said let y be equals to 3x minus y and 3x minus 2. Y here signifies fx. You understand? So now in this expression that I have here, I'm going to replace y that I have here as x. So the function will now become like this. The function will become like this. X is equals to, okay, the function will become like this. Y is equals to x plus 2 all over 3. Now, do you know what I did? I replace x as y and y as x. You understand? See, x is here. That means I'm going to have y here, and instead of y here, I'm going to have x. That's what I did, okay? So, in that case, the inverse of this function will be equals to x plus 2 all over 3. Do you understand? Inverse of f of x. Oh, sorry. This should be minus 1. Inverse of f of x is x plus 2 all over 3. Do you understand now? Okay, let's attempt the second question. For the second question, we have B. Question B. G of x is equals to square root of x minus 3. These are the likely questions that might come after your exam, so make sure you pay attention. Now, the first step is that let's represent g of x as y. So I'm going to have let y equals to square root of x minus 3. Now, the next step is that you have to make x the subject of the relation. And to make x the subject of the relation, you have to eliminate this square root. So, if you want to eliminate this square root, what are you going to do? Take the square of both sides. So, I'm going to have y squared is equals to x minus 3. Okay? Hence, I'm going to have y squared plus 3 is equals to x. So, x is equals to y squared plus 3. Now, having gotten to this point, the next step is that we approach it like we did the other time. You replace y as x, you understand? So the function will become like this. You replace y as x and x as y. That is, you interchange. That is what we call inverse, you understand? So for this, I'm going to have y will be equals to x squared plus 3, you understand? Now, because I said y is equals to I said let y be equals to this. So the inverse of the function g of x, the inverse of this function will be x squared plus 3. Do you understand? Okay, let's have the third example. We have h of x is equals to x plus 4. Okay, yes, h of x is equals to x plus 4 all over 2x minus 5. Okay, how do we find the inverse of h of x? For question C now, we have h of x is equals to x plus 4 all over 2x minus 5. This one, the first step also is that just let y be equals to the function, then make x the subject of the relation. Okay, let y be equals to x plus 4 all over 2x minus 5. You understand? So now here I'm going to make x the subject of the relation. Do you understand? So when I'm done, I'm going to interchange the value of x as y and y as x. Then I'm going to put y as h of x. So having set y equals to the function that we have, you have to make x the subject of the relation. You understand? Then when you are done, you have to interchange the value of x as y and y as x. You understand? So let us proceed. For this, we're going to have, now make x the subject of the relation. I'm going to have y multiplied by 2x minus 5 is equivalent to x plus 4. Okay, now 2xy minus 5y is equals to x plus 4. Okay, take x to the other side. I'm going to have 2xy minus x is equals to 4 plus 5. 4 plus 5y. Now you have to factorize, you understand, because the goal is to make x the subject of the relation. So I'm going to factorize because x is common to both 2xy and negative 1. So I'm going to have x is equal put the bracket 2y minus 1 is equals to 4 plus 5y. Okay, divide both by 2y minus 1 and this over 2y minus 1. What are you going to have? X will be equivalent to 4 plus 5y all over 2y minus 1. Now, so having gotten to this point, you have to interchange x as y and y as x. So I'm going to have y is equals to 4 plus 5y all over 2y minus 1. Now, that means I'm going to write y as the inverse of h of x because the inverse of this function is indeed x plus 4 plus 5y all over 2y minus, this should be x. 4 plus 5x all over 2x minus 1. You understand? The inverse of this function is this. So now that means that if this function is equals to hx, the inverse of this function will be the inverse of hx. You understand? So I'm going to have the inverse of h of x is equals to 4 plus 5x all over 2x minus 1. Do you understand? Okay, so whenever you are asked to find the inverse of a function, the first step is that set the function equals to a letter, maybe y. Then when you are done making the variable that is the input, when you are done making it the subject of the formula, you have to interchange that variable. That the answer that you got will be the inverse of the initial function. Do you understand?